Like Eric said, my name is Haley and I'm an account manager with IQnection. I'm relatively new with the company, but I began marketing when I was in college doing the social media for a campus recreation program. As an account manager, I help with website design, I help with content going out on the blogs and on the website themselves, but mainly what I like to focus on is social media. Social media is a great tool that anyone can use, and you can have it be tailorized to whatever your different industry is. My favorite types of social media are Instagram and LinkedIn because I think they're very diverse and you can use them in a variety of different ways. Today, we're going to be focusing more on Instagram and Instagram stories and how they can help to grow association membership. But just keep in mind that social media in general is a great tool to have. And like Eric said, we'll be opening up for a Q&A at the end. So if you could hold on to your questions until then, that would be awesome. So a typical day for me as an account manager, usually I meet with clients a few times a week and discuss what their goals are, whether they're social media goals, frequency, their audience, the tone that they're looking for, or other aspects that they want to improve with their online presence. That's what I do, and I work with a team of other marketers here, and really it's important to have more than one head going into the marketing because everyone has different great ideas and they can all collaborate and help with the overall product. For social media, a lot that I do is planning on different websites like HubSpot and SharpSpring, but for social media stories and Instagram and Facebook stories, you're going to want to post those live from the account just because they are more in action, and we will go into a little bit more detail on that throughout the presentation. So why use social media? First, with brand recognition, it's important for your audience to see you on their social media platforms where they're already on and seeing what they like to see, seeing their interests. You want to be mixed in with that. Having a good brand across all platforms really helps with people connect to your message. It also can improve website traffic with backlinks. What this means is that on websites like Facebook and LinkedIn, you can actually have links to your website directly in the captions, and that will drive traffic back to your website. On social media platforms like Instagram, you can have a link tree in your bio or a link in your bio that will bring people back to your website or a particular page on your website that you are interested in promoting more. That's great for website traffic since your website is your more curated content and what you're looking to have people go back to. Customer satisfaction is a huge piece of business today. And with Instagram, it is more, or social media in general, it's more direct. You can message people directly. You're getting more personal interactions as if you were interacting with one of your friends on the social media channels. Another portion that makes social media great for marketing is it's cost effective. There's a version of social media marketing that you can do completely free, just putting out your own organic content and building a following through that. There are ways to do it for low cost, or you can increase as much as you'd like, but either way, cost effective is a great aspect to have in social media, especially if you're starting with a lower budget. So with Instagram, I'm not going to read through all the statistics, but what you want to know is that 50% of people are more interested in a brand after seeing an ad for it on Instagram. That means that without that being on there, you're losing a huge audience that you wouldn't get without that information out on the social media channels. 90% of Instagram users follow a business, which shows that they're not just looking to interact with their friends, but are interested in the brands and more of the business side of social media. And a lot of people trust the authenticity of brands on social media, and that's why people use it to research new products and services and trust what their friends are saying in their community. It also helps with men and women. Both users are on social media, and Instagram specifically is a little bit more tailored towards women, but you can reach both audiences very well. And another thing with Instagram is that the stories with a call to action, a great call to action to bring someone to a specific task that you'd like them to complete, do perform 89% better of the time. So having a very clear, concise message on social media is important. Types of Instagram paid promotions. So you can use these versions of free as well, but stories, posts, and reels. Promoted stories, you have, if you guys are not familiar with the Instagram app, it's on the homepage up on the top. You're seeing live content coming from your users. Those stories last 24 hours, so they'll stay up there for that long. Promoted post, as you can see, this is an advertisement promoted post. They have a call to action on the bottom to learn more. And that is a very generalized call to action. You can be a little bit more specific when you're looking to drive your traffic. But for the ads, they just show up as a regular post with the call to action on it. And then Reels. For those of you who are familiar with the program TikTok, it's very similar to that. They're short videos and they keep a consistent theme. So if you are, say, into environmental justice, it is all environmental related topics that come up there. So the different ways that you can pay for these promotions too, you can physically pay in Instagram to become the featured call to action, learn more sort of event, or you can partner with a local celebrity, you know, a local politician, a teacher, that sort of thing, who has a good following. If you plan to do that, you want to make sure that you're choosing someone who is on brand with what you are discussing. You don't want to choose someone like the Kardashians or, you know, someone who's crazy expensive to try to work with, but someone who your brand will really relate with. So all three of these aspects have different features that make them more unique and better in different ways. And we can hop right into that. As I mentioned, stories disappear after 24 hours of posting. That means they are not evergreen, which means that they will be around forever. There are certain ways to make them last, and we'll head into that later in the presentation. But a typical story only lasts for 24 hours. All three of these features can have sound. However, posts typically are photos and do not include sound. Stories, you can add music, or you can post a live video with sound in it. And Reels are the same, it's a video with sound. And posts and Reels you can view on the Explore page. So that means that people who don't necessarily follow you, if you have an open account or a business account, they can view your content from the Explore page. Stories are a little bit more specific towards your audience, where they're viewing them on their timeline because they follow you, rather than they can search for the story. And for longer messages, posts are the best because you can put a lot of content in the caption and really get your point across. Stories are pretty quick and harder to, since they're verbalized, it's a little bit harder to retain the information rather than a long post. Stories are great for testing content though, because they're only there for a short amount of time and you can get the analytics from it right away. And they're great for engaging your followers. So with stories, there are many features that you can use that, again, we'll get into in a second, but that you can have direct engagement with your followers, and it really helps with growing your engagement and your audience and interest in your brand. Posts and Reels you're able to save, which means that someone could access them at a later time. They would save in your saved posts. You can do different albums of saved posts for themes that you're saving things for. Stories you cannot save, but you can access them within those 24 hours. And featured on the Explored page is similar to what I was just saying with the reaching new audience and new non-followers. And stories are great though, because you can link to your website. Posts and Reels you cannot, but you can through your profile. Linking to your website is really important because that's, again, where your curated information is, and that's where you want to drive people back to boost engagement. So why Instagram stories? All of them you can see have great different features, but what makes Instagram stories so great? They're versatile. You can have a story every day for the rest of your life and they will never be the same. There's so many different options that you can do that you can come up with new content every day, and it's not as specific, like it's more unfiltered content. You're looking for the authentic brand and the community culture. It's really easygoing, light, fun, but it can also be serious as well. They can be informative and more specific towards time-sensitive events. So if you have an upcoming event, stories are great because eventually you won't have those posts up on your story anymore, and they won't be on your news feed. You can keep the most important information on your post's news feed. And these are just a few examples of what stories can be. You can put stickers on them, live videos with people. It's great to see, you know, the company culture in them. So we're going to go into a quick video about creating content. Creating content, there are several different ways that you can do it. I'm going to be going into a little bit more detail on how to make content with the different aspects rather than going live on content or creating a boomerang or such. So if you go into on the top of your screen, there's a plus bar or the plus sign. Click that and you have all the different options that you can create anything on Instagram. Post, story, story highlight, IGTV video, reel, live guide. You can also click on the plus sign on your profile picture and that would help you add a story as well. Or if you scroll all the way to the left past your newsfeed, you get to the same page that you would if you clicked the other two. From there, I'm going to click create, but again, that's where you can go into doing a boomerang or a live video. This is a photo from the town I live in Florida on the river, but as you can see, you can take things from your photo album and minimize them. You can change the rotation of them, adjust the size, and have exactly what you want. Locations, you can choose anywhere in the world. You can change the color of those. Mentions are great because you can tag business partners, you can highlight employees, that sort of thing, and then they can reshare the content from being tagged in it. So that also boosts your brand. Hashtags are awesome, but they, like posts, they're a little bit stronger. But again, for the hashtags and the mentions, you can change the colors so they match the theme that you're looking for. Next is a question. So by asking your audience a question, you're asking for an immediate engagement from them. You can ask anything relevant to your brand or just something fun. And the best part with these is that you can take the questions, you can take your user responses and repost them on your story. So you can choose the content that you're putting back out there from your followers, and it's anonymous on their end. So there's no issue with copyright or anything like that, or asking for permission. Next, there is a music feature. For the music, the songs are a little bit limited. It's what Instagram has approved for the moment, but you can still find pretty much anything for your certain post. It's not necessarily the exact song you'd want, but there's something for everyone. And then with that, you can change the part of the song that is playing if you want a specific lyric or a specific part. And then you can also change the style that it shows up on the screen. You can have it be lyrics, you can have it be the album. This song didn't have any lyrics in it, so it did not show that portion of it. And then that will play automatically as long as your user has the sound up. Next is a slide bar, and you can ask any question, and they will have those different emoji options, which are showing up right above the keyboard. And they can drag it based on how they feel about the subject. So I like to keep it positive and not do negative emojis or anything like that, but just to get a feel of how your audience is feeling with things. For asking a question, it's great to get an immediate this or that reaction. I know when COVID was just starting, this was a big thing for brands to use for just to get interactions. People were doing, you know, Coke or Pepsi, that sort of thing. Or you can ask something more specific for your brand if you are looking to get some feedback on a particular object. If you see, you can scroll down, you can search for pretty much anything. They have all these different stickers. You can donate, food order, countdown, time clock. You can even take another picture and add it and change the frame of it and layer on other pictures. I've seen great things with that. If people use a background photo and blur it and then put a smaller photo on top, it looks really cool. People also are doing great things with that and putting music on top of it, so it'll click to your post. Another thing you can do is swipe and see the different filters that go on the original photo. So again, this is limitless, and you can do them on live Instagram photos as well. Another great thing with stories is that you can take one of your current posts and send it to your story and have it come up as a story as well. So that's a great way if you have a post that you're looking to share. You can also do the link or an IGTV video, which will go to your website or IGTV. IGTV is better if you're doing longer content, such as if you have webinars weekly or 5-minute facts or something like that that you want to put out consistently. I'm explaining the draw tool here. With the draw tool, you can pretty much do anything. They have arrows, which are great because you don't have to physically draw the arrow. You can change the size of things. You can change the color. The highlighter is a great option as well because you can highlight specific things in a passage. There is limitless colors. You can, they have the color picker tool, so you can pretty much choose anything you want. And then they're really just great to spice up your stories. If you want to have a little design on the side to, help with the, making your post more aesthetically pleasing. And there also are neon buttons, which is a little bit more fun. If it fits your brand, it's really cool to use. It doesn't fit everyone's brand, but again, those can be different sizes. And you can erase the post as well, the drawings, or on the top, there has a back button as well. And you can just hit back and it will get rid of the drawing only. From here, you can save the post too. And when the post is saved, then you can access it in your files later on. So if you make something you really like and you don't necessarily want to post it at that exact moment, you can save it and post it at another time. You can also send these posts to specific groups if you have a specific audience that you're looking to send things to, or just add it to your general story. I mentioned earlier in the presentation that Instagram stories can be a lifelong thing. Pinned highlights are a great way to showcase your more important work. As you can see, Nike has a set of pinned highlights here that has more of the things that they're looking to showcase. With these, you want to have it be just the most important information, because if you bog it up with 50 posts, people aren't going to make it to the end. You can add things to pinned highlights from the create button directly, from a current story, or from your archive. The archive is great because you can access things now that you did at the beginning of your account without having to deal with it in the past. So if you decide now that you want to do pinned highlights, you can still go back to anything that you've done in the past and create that. Accessing the archive, I'm going to do a quick video on that as well. So if you enter the menu bar on the top right, it automatically takes you to your stories archive. From there, you can choose what you want and add it to a pinned highlight. And then there again is just where it says archive. You're going, and a feature that Instagram has that I love is that they have on this day. So you can share with your followers something that you did a year ago, 2 years ago, etc., just to keep, it's a way to not create new content every time while still putting out things that are consistent with your brand that you've put in work in the past. I know some people prefer to use Instagram on desktop. Instagram on desktop is it's a great feature because you can really see your post in more detail, in better quality on your screen. But if you go into Instagram as is, they don't have the same features that's on mobile. This is what a screen in desktop looks like. You can see there's no portion to add posts. You can only view your likes, your profile, your messages, and then browse other accounts. In order to make it mobile friendly, you want to enter your settings, more tools, then developer tools, and that should be on every browser. From there, you want to choose the button up in the corner with the arrow. That's a toggle button, which will toggle your screen into a mobile-friendly view. Then once you click that, you can see that it's very similar page, but now you have the options on the bottom to create posts, and it's the mobile version on your desktop. From there, you can add posts, stories, etc., and you choose any file you have on your computer. Again, and this is great if you want to check the high-res version of your post. If people are viewing your posts on desktop more, that's a great version for you. I discussed earlier these different polls and questions that you can feature on your story. These are a great way for your audience to interact with you directly right away. Polls, like I said, you can say something fun or something serious, something on brand, something random, but you're getting a response from your audience right away. You can also see the results of the poll in your story insights. With that, you can see who saw the story, who answered, and who answered what. And you can even repost those results onto your story after if there's a winner. Something like this, there might be a close tie and people might be a little bit more passionate about something like that if it's a this or that. So that's something that you'd love to repost again and say, you know, thank you for your results and I appreciate you taking the survey. You can also do 5 slides in a row with different polls and have people vote on a bunch of different things. People love doing that and it takes 2 seconds of their time. The emoji slide is great if you want to see how much people, how strongly they feel about something. So, you know, your finger probably only takes it about halfway up the scroll button anyway. So if they really are into something, they're making the effort to show that they're into it. Questions are great because, like I said, you can repost those on your story as well and highlight what your viewers and audience is thinking about your profile. Questions can be, they ask the general prompt of ask me a question, but you can change it to be anything you want. I would just recommend keeping it concise and keeping it on brand with what you're looking to see. With anything, you want to track the success to make sure that what you're doing is working for you. On average, the Instagram engagement rate is 2.1%, which means if you have 200 followers, 4 people would be interacting with your stories. So what are you looking to measure? First, for stories, views. You just want to see who's looking at your content, who is interested in physically clicking on what you have to say because they are interested in your brand. Next, you want to look at interactions for your question answers, the poll answers, the slide answers, quiz answers. Quiz answers are something that I didn't show previously, but you can ask a question, a multiple response question, and your audience will receive a correct answer. They'll show which is the correct answer once they answer. Again, that was something that was great at the beginning of COVID. I know a lot of programs were doing, you know, Harry Potter trivia or that sort of thing, just to get engagement when people were sitting at home. Another thing that you have is viewer direct messages, which means that on your stories, people can swipe up and reply directly to you. They can ask you questions, they can comment on something. There are also reaction messages when you swipe up, so they can do clapping or celebrating or happy faces, hearts, that sort of thing. So you're getting that direct interaction with your audience and makes them feel like they're more connected with your brand. Another thing to look at, which we talked about before, is your website visits. Having people getting back to your website is a huge thing in digital marketing. And that is ultimately the goal of social media, is driving that back there, along with everything that we had previously mentioned. Website views, you can check that through different programs online. Instagram does not have the exact metrics for that yet, but Instagram does have great insights that you can look into. The insights show your over a period of time how your content is doing, the interactions, the views, and so forth. And that's great to look at pretty regularly to make sure that what you're doing is still working and that the changes that you've made are really improving your account. So thank you all for listening to my speech about social media today. I hope that you all learned something, and I'm going to open the floor up to some questions.
We did have one question in the chat, and it said, are you going to be able to go over turning the desktop to mobile version again at the end?
Yeah, so if you have a browser open, there should be a settings tab on the far right corner. From there, you'll see a menu such as the one shown here, and you want to click on the More Tools, which will open another menu, and Developer Tools. Developer Tools looks a little crazy. I'm not a developer. Seeing that language is too much for me, but all you have to do is click that one toggle button up in the top corner, and that will bring it to there, and you can just exit out of the Developer Tools at that point. It'll keep it like that until you exit out of the browser and then go back in. So if you are looking to do that, you'd have to redo it every time, but once you do it once, you'll be able to do it every single time.
Haley, I have a question, another question. Are there specific types of posts that you, in your experience, have seen that have done better? So is it posts of, I mean, in my business, it's a legal business. So posts of like clients doing things, or posts of locations, as opposed to, or another thing that we can have done are just informational posts about changes in the law. Like, do you think it's important just to get things out there, or do you think certain content is better than others?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you. What I found works best for my businesses in the previous has been ones that highlight company culture, highlight specific people, are very organic, of birthday post, but having a good mix in, like you said, for legal, having informational posts, people are really going to respect that coming from a group like yours. So just having a good mix, but keeping it pretty light and fun on stories is typically the best method.
Haley, I have a question. So we were talking with Emily, who's on the, who's attending today, and I had mentioned that I'd seen an event post in Facebook. What would be the best way for her to use Instagram, either before, during, or after that event?
All of the above, honestly. So before is great for promoting, because like I said, they do disappear. Promoting events before would be the best, because you can see what people are saying, or you can promote your event with it being able to disappear. You can put it 100 times different posts, and people are going to get that message across. Typically with social media, people need to see things 5 to 7 times in order to retain what they are. So reposting a few times before your event is the best method. Then during, you can live stream the content that you're putting out. Instagram does have a live feature, Facebook does have a live feature. So you can put that out there and have people see an insight of what your actual event was like. And then after, it's always great to put a thank you for coming, appreciate your time, this is how it went, this is next steps for us, sort of thing. So promoting events is perfect on stories.
Good morning, and great job, by the way. Thank you. If you don't already have a big following on Instagram, what would you say would be the best way to go from like 0 to 100 followers? Because I think it's really different once you have a group of people who are following you and will interact with your posts and so forth. But let's say we've got nothing. Like, how do you go from nothing to something?
That's a great question, Greg. So like you said, it is a group that you want to be with. You want to follow the people that you interact with in your business in order to make them follow you back. You know, none of us are famous, crazy influencers who need a ratio of followers to following. You want to follow people so they can follow you back and see your content. That sort of ratio doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of Instagram. It's who's seeing your message and the importance of how related they are to your organization in order to get the right information to the right people.
You said that posts can't link to the website, but I thought they had a powerful call to action. Does that call to action not drive people to your website? So could you clarify that?
Yeah, it is a little tricky. Within Instagram, you can only have a call to action if you're paying for the space. Regular Instagram captions don't allow you to have links back to websites. So if you're paying for it, that's awesome. And working on your call to action is a great thing that you can do a couple different drafts. You can do great A/B testing on social media sites. But if you're not paying for it, the only way that you can link back is through stories and your profile.
Just to clarify on that. So for example, if I want to use Instagram for fundraising, and the call to action is obviously to donate. So I have to pay for that. I have to boost that post. I have to pay for that post in order to be able to have a link in it.
If it were a post, there is a donate option on stories as well. You might want to play around with that and see what works best for you. But even if you have a website that you're looking for people to donate on, posting it as a post or as a story saying view this website, it's just easier to get through if people can click a link rather than having to type in a full website. So if you're paying for an ad, then yes, it can lead directly back to a donation page. Another powerful thing that people do is put the link or a link tree of several different links in their bio and say, view the link tree in this spot, or view my link in my bio, and that will bring you to the donation page.
You know, going back to the number question that Greg had, you know, Haley, I appreciate you sharing the average engagement, because I have clients with small number of followers and they're thinking, oh, great, 4 people liked my post, you know, that's a good benchmark. But I'm also wondering, because years ago, I mean, when social media was a baby, you know, there was like the magic mark and say LinkedIn followers, there's once you reach 1,000, it just gets exponentially, you know, with the algorithm and the matches. And I'm just wondering if there was a sweet spot number that you recommend clients just, you know, go for, to go, okay, let's wait till we get to 500 followers or whatever it is, and then magic happens. I was just curious.
Great question, Pam. I don't have a specific number in mind. One piece of advice that I would have in that situation is that you're looking for followers who are more relevant to your brand rather than just a mass amount of people who aren't going to have anything to do with you. It's better to have a medium to smaller amount of people who have everything to do with you, that are so interested in the brand and your company. But the more people who are interested, the more people who are following you, the more opportunity you have to share the posts. And social media does have those algorithms of people viewing and accessing. So they do have some sort of key in there, but with the amount that people have, you know, millions of followers now, 500 to 1,000 probably won't make a huge difference. It's just getting those quality follows.